Good Monday, makers. It's time for another community build roundup. And as always, we've got some really great builds. So let's jump right in and check them out. First up is this build from Mark. As you can see, he's got an elevated deck and he recently built a canopy structure that kind of covers this whole deck, including the part that wraps around up to the door here. So you can see it's just really beautiful and came out awesome. And if you're doing a canopy or something like this, you can kind of break it down into a couple of different things. You got to figure out if you're going to do completely freestanding or if you want to attach it to your house in some way. And you can see that Mark has attached it to his house using some sort of flange here. I don't entirely know exactly what that is. So maybe it's some kind of off the shelf solution or something like that. It looks kind of like those shower curtains, or not shower curtains, but the like curtain rods in like your living room or bedroom or whatever. It looks kinda like that flange, and I think it's the conduit is running through those and going all the way, along the side of the house here, as you can see, and basically just did the same thing on this back wall here. But once you decide that, if you want it to be freestanding or connected to your house, you basically just need to build, a rectangle or I guess, yeah, really a rectangle or a square, or unless you're, doing like a triangle shape, whatever you want to make to basically pull your desired sunshade tight. And in this case, it's just a big rectangle, as you can see, that just starts at the house and then goes out to the side of the deck. And he just has vertical pipes that kind of run along the vertical pieces of wood on the railing for the deck. And then he's just got, the conduit going up and then just connected together, and this rectangle up here is just pulling the sunshade tight as I was describing. And then you can kind of add some bracing and different techniques for bracing where it makes sense and where you need it. You can see he's got some 45-degree connectors. You can see that there's some pipes from side to side and then running from front to back to just kind of provide more support. And once you build the overall kind of main frame, you can then evaluate and see where you need to add those kind of supports. And then you just have, verticals needed wherever. You can see that he added a couple kind of in the middle of the deck using flanges here just to provide another base and a foot to the build. As you can see in a couple of those photos here, I guess you can see it really the best. You can just see it just goes down and just, secures to the deck there, and it's just attached in the same way as all the verticals that go around the railing. But that's kind of the how I'd recommend making a sunshade or a canopy if you're doing something like that. Just build a rectangle to stretch out, or the shape to stretch out the sunshade that you're working with, and then attach it to your house, or do the whole thing freestanding, and then you can just secure the verticals to your deck or to your back patio or your garden bed, whatever it may be, using flanges or two-hole straps or any of those other solutions that we talk about regularly. And then if you need to attach the sunshade, or of course you'll need to, but depending on how you want to attach it, we've talked about a lot of different ways. You can use shower curtain hooks, you can use ball bungees, zip ties. There's all kinds of different ways. I'll link a video that we did down below about some different solutions for securing sunshades and materials like that, in case you need to figure that out as well. But thanks, Mark, for sharing that. A really great deck canopy, and I think it'll be great inspiration for a lot of people out there. Next up is a build from Kim, and this is more of a mod, I guess, than a actual full-on build. This is a home gym equipment, and I think it's called a Legmaster Slim, if I found the right thing. And I think you hold on to this handle and then kind of like step back and forth. And it's supposed to be like a leg workout. And this handle is adjustable and made just specifically so you can hold on to it, and have your balance while you're, stepping back and forth. But I read some reviews, and apparently this handle is kind of flimsy, which is why Kim used the Maker Pipe 1-inch connector to reinforce this handle and just kind of add some more support there. I think she even drilled through the connector and added self-tapping screws into the vertical upright and the crossbar here for the handle, and just a nice simple mod to utilize this piece of equipment that you have to do some exercising at home. So really cool, Kim. Thanks so much for sharing that. Love seeing it. Next up is a build from Joyce, and this is a great build. It said she was inspired by the YouTube channel Jolly Gardens, and they have a full tutorial on how to build a trellis using conduit and maker pipe fittings. I'll link it down below if you want to check it out. But it was cool to see that Joyce followed that tutorial and built this tomato cage for her raised garden bed. You can see she's just got four vertical uprights with four 90-degree connectors, just one in each corner, and just created this box that sits inside of her garden bed. And now she's going to be able to add trellis netting and different things to support the climbing plants for her. I think she said specifically tomatoes, but of course, if you've got other climbing plants, then you can add trellis netting and different things based on those plants. But just really cool to see and a really simple design. You don't have to spend a lot of money or buy a lot of connectors. You can do a simple trellis support, and this is a great build that showcases that. So thanks so much for sharing it, Joyce. Really great to see. Next up is a build from Jerry, and this is another sunshade, and this one is all completely freestanding. As you can see, there's vertical uprights on each corner, and I think there's 4 total, and I think the whole thing is made with half-inch EMT conduit. And you can see, yeah, half-inch EMT conduit, just using the shims to connect the connectors around half-inch EMT. And basically, just like we talked about, once you figure out if it's going to be freestanding or secured to something, then you can move on to basically just making that rectangle or triangle, whatever it may be, to pull the sunshade tight, which is exactly what Jerry did here. You can see the sunshade is pulled tight using ball bungees and is secured to the frame. And now all of these plants have some much needed shade as we move into summer and it gets really hot outside. You want to make sure that your plants are getting enough water and they have plenty of shade. And these kind of builds are a really great way to do that. So thanks so much, Jerry, for sharing this. Really great job, and looks like an awesome solution. Next up is a build from Steve, and this is a chicken tractor that he made. This is really cool. So I learned about chicken tractors a little bit as we've seen some builds come through, where basically you have this enclosure of sorts that the chickens are inside of, but you can roll this around and they'll just, they're kind of stuck inside because it's an enclosure. You just move it slowly around and kind of herd them inside of this tractor, they call it, which is really cool. And this one was recently shared by Steve, and you can see it's really great. I love the bins in the corners here, and mostly looks like T connectors, but it's just one big rectangle with bins in the corners, and then T connectors, kind of adding the top half of the structure and securing that to the bottom half of the structure. Looks like there's some cross bracing with T connectors. And then there's even, it looks like, I don't know if this wing kind of, chicken wing, that's funny. I don't know if this wing, folds up and down or what entirely. If this kind of goes up and makes, maybe that's just the handle that you grab onto to pull it. I don't really know entirely, but looks like a great build nonetheless. And something to keep in mind, we've seen people do this where you have wheels, because of course you don't want the chickens to get out, but you still need it to be able to roll. So you can add wheels to the bottom using the various methods we've talked about. Or if you're on grass and it looks like he's got some, pretty flat land there and doesn't have to worry about too much, you can probably just grab this and slide it across the ground. It's not going to weigh that much, and you'll be able to just slide it around your yard, which is something to keep in mind. So you don't have to worry about adding wheels, which is nice. And all in all, just a really great build and an awesome chicken tractor. I think it's going to work out great. Just got to add some enclosure material on there and then put the chickens inside and he'll be ready to move them around. So, really great build, Steve. Thanks so much for sharing that. Awesome to see. Next up is a build from Paul, and this is really cool. He made a little caddy for car washing and detailing. You can see here he's got some detailing equipment from Chemical Guys, and he's got the bucket there that has I think that's actually like a seat lid that they made for their buckets. I'm not entirely sure. But nonetheless, it's a really awesome build. Basically, just made this little platform that has flanges for the verticals to go up. And he created this. I imagine you could sit here on this part as well if you're using the bucket. But he's got all kinds of different equipment here that he can use, and he can sit on this while he's detailing and washing the car. You're getting down low, cleaning the wheels and the tires, or just cleaning the car in general, doing some waxing and stuff. Then you want to be able to get low and not be squatting or sitting on the ground. You can actually sit on this and roll around, which is super cool. And you can see here that the way he's designed it, the sprays and different things here can just kind of rest on the pipes going around, which is awesome. He's got plenty of storage for the bucket and all the different supplies inside the bucket to sit underneath here. And just a really simple caddy, has a small footprint, but a great way to keep everything organized. And it comes in handy when you're actually doing the detail work because you can sit on this and kind of get low and not really strain yourself while you're detailing and washing your car and your vehicles. So that's really awesome, Paul. Thanks so much for sharing that. And thanks everybody for posting your projects. As always, you guys are the best part of MakerPipe, and we just look forward to seeing all the cool things that you guys build. So keep them coming, and we'll keep doing these episodes. If you enjoy these videos, leave a like and consider subscribing, and we'll see you in the next one.